You are listening to episode 170 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we got John Roo episode 2 in this week's, well, no inflation deflation challenge.
Thanks for having me, dudes. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. So if you have not heard John before, we had John Roo on an episode. I think it was just you and I, actually.
Yeah,
I was absent for that one.
Yeah, I don't remember why, but yeah, we only had me, John and John, so it was a fantastic episode of our duo. And so John Roo of the Retro Roo Room. So dude, if you want to give a little introduction about yourself for those that haven't heard you before.
Well, I appreciate, first of all, you guys having me on again. That's really cool of you guys. I enjoyed last time, and I really appreciate you having me on again. My name's John Roo, and I own a company called the Retro Room Games, and I'm publish and develop retro video games. So that's what I do.
Good stuff, man. Where could people find you?
I think all of my social media might be on my website, theretroroomgames.com. But you can find me on Twitter at theretroroomroo. I think like Instagram and Facebook and all that are some variation of the same thing. You just have to like look for the logo with the purple on it. And you can find me anywhere on social media. I have like all the sites. I even have a TikTok. So
You have a TikTok?
I do, yeah.
Oh, hold on. What do you do on your TikTok?
Nothing really special. I mostly just troll around on there, but yeah, I make videos from time to time.
Nice. Well, so dude, again, thanks for coming on. Always a pleasure to have you on here.
Thanks for having me.
As far as our episodes are concerned, I don't know if you and I did this last time because it's just two of us and we're talking just gaming in general. But we like to talk about the games we recently picked up and what we're currently playing. So unfortunately, I didn't have any video games this week to kind of kick us off, but I picked up the new box set for Kawigama Neon Dynasty for Magic the Gathering. Ryan and I actually played a tournament this past Friday. Both of us got crushed. It was so bad. I hate playing sealed tournaments, dude. It's the worst thing ever. And dude, it's all about luck in that one. It's not like in drafting where you can pick one card and pass it along and you only get the one choice. So like there's a lot more variety in what you can use. Whereas like those sealed packs, it's like if somebody pulls like a badass card that's just going to determine the tournament, you have like no choice. It's just so hard to play those. So we did that. I picked that up. And then as far as what I'm playing, I am still enjoying Pokemon Legends Arceus. I cannot stop playing that game, dude. So
I've been seeing it all over the place, and everybody's playing.
It's so much fun.
It looks nice.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty sweet. So a lot of people are, complaining about the graphics. I complain about the graphics as well. It honestly at times looks like a PS2 or PS3 game when playing it, which I'll talk about another game when we talk about Nintendo Direct here later. It looked like a PS2 game. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the third area right now. I don't know how many Pokemon I've caught, but I've completed a lot of Pokedexes so far. I'm like level 42 to 43 of most of my Pokemon. Got my Typhlosion going. Just got my shiny Rapidash leveled up or evolved. And what else have I got? So I don't know, just tons of stuff. I'm catching lots of things.
Yeah, without giving away like too much spoilers for people out there that care about that kind of thing, like since there's no like gyms or anything, is there more of like an actual story that you're going through, or like what's put you at a different place other than just the amount of Pokemon you've caught? Like what's your measure of progression?
So they have these like stars that you get. So you talk to the captain or whatever. No, it's not the captain. He's like below the captain, lieutenant or some crap like that. Dude, I'm terrible with names in games. That's the worst part about it. So I'm like catch Pokemon, battle other people when I can. Story mode. I don't know what this guy's name is, but he's giving me things. So within this game, you go like every time you catch X amount of Pokemon, as you level up Pokemon, you get like certain things to add to your Pokedex. When you complete certain tasks, so like saw this Pokemon use whatever move like 5 times, whatever it may be, used this type of move, or caught these Pokemon without being seen, like all of that type of stuff. It adds into your Pokedex to create a complete Pokedex. So you have like a little Pokeball that pops up next to the Pokemon. And when you complete a certain amount of tasks, you get that Pokemon filled out into Pokedex, and you no longer really need to
Interesting.
interact with it. So that's pretty cool. But once you do that, you get a certain amount of points to build up your level. And then once you hit a certain threshold, you go back to get like stars. And those stars are added to like your rank as a member of the Galaxy team. And so right now, I think I'm ranked 6 or 7, I want to say. Out of, I think it's like 10 possible stars or 8 stars. I can't remember. But like right now, because I'm the rank I am, I can now use Ultra Balls. I can create Ultra Balls. And then I also have Pokemon up to level 80 will obey me, essentially. Yeah. And then there is a main storyline tied to it. So like there's these, I wouldn't say they're like legendary Pokemon because they're just like evolved forms basically. But there's these various Pokemon throughout that are like the leaders, I guess you could say, or like the Pokemon that are dear to like certain clans. And those Pokemon are going crazy. And so throughout right now, it's been like, oh, this guy happened to put my name as John in there. So John is traveling the world of Pokemon, and he is quelling various Pokemon that are enraged and working with the different clans to make sure that everything's good and fine and dandy on their side. And yeah, it's just like this very early concept of Pokemon. So like people are scared of Pokemon. There's various Pokemon that are seen as like these gods in a sense from these various clans, and you're just kind of traversing the world, capturing Pokemon, showing people that Pokemon aren't bad, and quelling enraged Pokemon for the most part.
Interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it. It's definitely a pretty interesting turn. I mean, I told Ryan a while back, and I haven't told you, John, but I stopped playing at like after Silver is when I stopped playing Pokemon games. I just didn't find any interest in Ruby and all that stuff. And
Right.
so I picked this one up, having been so far removed. So there's probably a ton of crap in this game that's been occurring in other titles over the years. And well, I guess I played Let's Go Pikachu as well, but so some of the elements from that game have been brought into this one. But things like experience share through battling, capturing, and just some of the various elements that are within this game have probably occurred in other titles. I'm not aware of it, but the jump has been crazy to go from like Silver to, I guess, Let's Go Pikachu to
That's
this.
quite the gap. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot that went on in between there.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I
So
I played a bunch of the Pokemon games growing up, and like I kind of dabbled with the ones on the 3DS, but I never like really beat through them or anything like that. So I'm kind of with you on that. It would probably be like a surprise to pick up, a new Pokemon game.
yeah, my wife has actually played them all the way through so far, up to I think Black is what she beat recently. And so what she does is she'll play like she'll set up a series of games that she wants to play, and she'll start it in like chronological order or like how they're supposed to be played. So for example, with Devil May Cry, she started with number 3 because it's technically the first one in the
Okay,
series, and then she's going on from there. But she's done the same thing with Pokemon, so she's played from straight up Red all the way to Black so far. And
that's cool.
yeah, so she just plays those every now and then, beats them, and then she's like, all right, cool, on to the next one, and then
She
plays
Sounds like
just
those.
this new
grinds
one is
through.
the first one. She's got to go backwards now.
Yeah, no, she just like grinds through all of these games. It's crazy. Yeah, I actually told her, I'm like, you do realize that like that Pokemon's like technically the first Pokemon, right? She's like, yeah, but I'm already too far in. So
Right.
yeah. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Ryan, what did you have this week?
So this week I also got the box of Kamigawa when we went to the pre-release launch. I didn't get anything super crazy, but I love all the weeb art in this set. I think it's like probably my favorite art since I've gotten back into Magic. So I'm really digging that, especially those new lands. They're so good looking. And then still rocking the Game Pass. I checking out Neon Abyss right now, which is like a side-scrolling roguelite dungeon shooter. It's okay. It's not as good as like Enter the Gungeon. Like some of the power-ups and stuff that you get are a little different. Like rather than getting a lot of things that actively affect like your abilities or manipulate your gun too much, like every level you kind of get something that makes your gun a little bit more powerful, but you're really only picking up like one new weapon maybe per floor. And the gimmick of it is, I guess you get like these eggs that follow you around, and then after you kill so many enemies, the age hat, and then you get like little, almost kind of like the sidekicks in oh god, now I can't even think of the game I'm trying to reference here.
Pikmin? You got like Pikmin?
No,
You said eggs are following you?
no, yeah. So you get these eggs that follow you around, and they just kind of like are like auto turrets or like float around you and defend or whatever. Like they're not really anything that you have control over, and that's kind of like the most uh, helpful additions that you get. Like you don't get like wildly different abilities or anything. Like you might get like a double jump or a higher jump, but you're not really. I've seen roguelikes that have a lot more effects and feel a lot more different as you build up this repertoire of random items that you collect to build really different builds through your run. And this so far just hasn't really progressed that much for me. So I'll keep checking out a little bit. I know there's a big like upgrade tree that like in between runs you get, you know, things to unlock on that. So maybe it builds up a lot more as you go on.
You know, we should have like a Ryan's Corner moving forward. So like every Game Pass game you play, just be like, what's your review on it?
Right. Well, I got two more.
Oh,
I actually replaced the old Ryan that you knew that never finished video games, and I beat two this week.
All
I
right.
uh, I beat Nobody Saves the World, which was great. I decided not to go back and grind everything and get everything up to like max levels or whatever because I was like, by the time I got done with it, I was like done with it. I just didn't really want to put all that like extra new game plus effort in. After that, I moved on to Death's Door, which everybody
I
really
played
liked
this one.
last year, and I did it in like 2 days. It was awesome. I love
It was
that
a cool
game.
game.
what did you
Did you
like about it?
do the post game stuff in that?
No, no, I never beat it. I just played it just a little bit, but it was a really cool game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. By the time I was done with it, I was like, I didn't do the post game stuff in that either, but like I was feeling like very confident in my abilities up until like the last boss because like there were a few things that were like pretty tough in there, and then I'd come back at it like third try and do it with like taking no damage or like the second to last boss once I went through and actually got some stuff together I was able to beat it like way more easily than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a much greater challenge. And so I think that this had like a really good balance for me of challenge and like fairness, like very much felt like I was in control of my dodges. And as long as I was being careful with, you know, my attacks and stuff, like taking that Dark Souls approach to it, I was coming out the other side a lot better. Because usually in games like this, like when I played Link's Awakening last year, I mean, I just kind of ran at everything sword first and I died like 1,000 times in that game for no reason. So
Nice, dude.
that was fun. And I played a little bit more Dante's Inferno. I will get through that before the end of the year this time.
I love Dante's Inferno. That game's wild. I love the story, like of the Divine Comedy. I'm a sucker for it. So
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Yeah, Ryan decided that was going to be his game for the
New
New
Games
Games
Resolution.
Resolution. Yeah, I'm God, man, we mix up our things, or I do. So
Too many shticks.
too many shticks going on. So yeah, so he has to play that for obviously by the end of the year. That is his one game. If there's one game he has to beat, it is that one. I ended up picking Zelda Ocarina of Time as well as Majora's Mask for my games,
all right.
and
Ouch.
so I decided
That's gonna be
both of
tough
those. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
compared to Dante's Inferno at least.
Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
got like 11 hours of gameplay, and I've got like
Yeah.
60 something, I'm sure, which isn't bad. I mean, I can knock out like a 60 something RPG in like a couple months if I just kind of play it here and there. But the problem is, Pokemon came out, and now I'm hooked on Pokemon. And I also said I was going to beat Ghost of a Tale as well on the PS4.
Okay.
And that one, I'm probably about, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours in, so about halfway through on that one. So,
Nice.
Well, and
yeah.
Elden Ring comes out in a couple weeks.
Oh my God, don't remind me. Well, I don't have a PS5, so maybe I should play, Ocarina of Time before all of that. But yeah, when Elden Ring comes out, I'll be hooked on that for like 3-4 months easily.
You've
So
never beat through those two Zelda games before?
no, I had mentioned this a while back. We had Barry Carenza Premium Edition Games on here. We've had him on a few
He's
times, and we were
he's a
chatting
cool
through.
guy.
Yeah, he's
Really
a cool
cool.
guy. So we were chatting about like the games. He's like, "Whoa, you've never beat those?" I'm like, "Well, I never really owned an N64 until I was about like in college, and I didn't really play it much then because I was in college."
Yeah.
And just life happens. You just don't jump into certain games, and you get excited about one thing and start playing that, and just things kind of go, and you never
Totally.
play them.
Yeah.
but I played them a bit when I was growing up because I had friends that had N64 consoles. So I mess with things, like the Water Temple and whatnot, and killing chickens and running around and doing that. But I never really got involved in the full story. It was always bits and pieces here and there. So yeah, that's really kind of what it amounted to. So I'm finally gonna like sit back and actually play through these. And because they release those N64 brawler controllers, so it's like being able to use like a normal controller, I
Right.
can finally go into an N64 game and play it via that method. Because I mentioned it so many times in this podcast, the N64 controller is by far, I think, the worst controller in the history of gaming. And so to be able to
It's
play
a little
something,
weird, yeah.
yeah,
I actually went through and played both of those games again on like the 3DS, so it's a
nice.
little
How'd you
bit
like
of
it on the
a.
3DS?
I thought it was great. I
I
like
love the effect. It really
it.
looks good, I think.
Yeah, it came together like really cool. It was nostalgic, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Nice. Well, what about you, man? Any games that you've picked up recently or anything that you're playing right now?
I've been buying like obscure FMV style point and click adventure games from the 90s and
Sick.
playing through them, like just the weirdest ones that I can find, and it makes me kind of like want to start streaming because they're just so bizarre and
You got to share
kind of
that.
a yeah, it's kind of a fun experience, and there's just a plethora of them. There's so many of them out there that like I could just stream like a few hours a week or something like that, and never end.
Yeah.
So I was playing through Titanic Adventures Out of Time, and another one called Harvester, which is really bizarre point and click game, but they're like these FMV style point and click adventure games, and they're just really weird and they're fun. I don't know, like it's kind of interesting.
Have you
That's what
always
I've
been
been
into
doing.
that genre?
Whenever I was a kid, I grew up with like King's Quest and Police Quest and Space Quest. Um, but I don't know if I ever dug anything any deeper than that. I was kind of surface level with it. Those games are like widely popular, so but but no, not really. Besides those, I haven't really experimented with that many point and click games, and to see that there's so many of them and they're all so freaking weird, man. It's just fun to play them. It's fun.
So one of my favorites that I've ever played, we actually shared on our Instagram not too long ago, was Blazing Dragons on the PS1
Okay,
and Sega Saturn. That's a good one. It's
Blazing
got
Dragons.
yeah, Blazing Dragons is good. It's got basically voice work. I mean, the comedy behind it is like Monty Python comedy.
Okay, cool.
So that's pretty cool. And then Discworld and Discworld 2 are two games on
Discworld.
PS1.
I've
Th-
seen that before.
those are also fantastic, fantastic point
Okay,
and click games.
I'll have to add
Blazing
those to
Dragons. I
the.
remember seeing this cover art at Blockbuster.
Yeah, well, it's on our Instagram now too.
I'll have to add those to the list of ones to try for sure.
Ryan, what was the one that we played? It was like was it House of a Maniac or whatever? I think that's what it's called. Maniac House. Dude, I'm so
We played Day of the Tentacle.
yeah, but it's
Day of the
like
Tentacle. I've seen that one.
yeah, but isn't it like Maniac House or something
Maniac
too?
Mansion. It
Maniac
was the
Mansion.
sequel to Maniac Mansion.
Oh, you know what? I
Barry,
played that game on the NES.
yeah, Barry Carenza is gonna listen to this episode and hear me say Maniac House and Maniac something and be like, he's gonna choke me from across the U.S.
You deserve it, John.
Dude, I'm so bad with video game names and stuff and names in general. It's like it's clearly something that I'm bad at.
Well,
I
there's
know, but
so many of them. This is
I
like
know it's so bad. So whenever somebody's like, "You said that wrong," yeah, well, there's a lot of games out there, so can't
definitely,
can't hold me accountable for all, especially that one. Like,
especially some obscure ones like that.
yeah, that's not exactly like a high end, very popular game for the most part.
For
So
sure. Yeah, I've actually heard of both of those games before, Discworld and Maniac Mansion.
yeah, those are fantastic. I actually, God, I want to play. I don't have Discworld 2, but I have Discworld 1, so I definitely want to pick up number 2 and play through that one. So
I've never
my
played them.
buddy my buddy owned it years ago, so I got to enjoy that one on the side. But Discworld I beat a long time ago, so it's good
Yeah.
stuff.
It's been pretty fun dabbling into that genre. I mean, it's just such a weird one, and the games that I picked are so bizarre, and the FMV style animations like kind of cool to me. Like as a game developer, I'm like I kind of want to make one of these. But
Did you ever play the Myst series?
yeah, I did. Yeah, as a kid, I did. It's been a while since I revisited it, but that was like top of the line graphics back in the day. It was like, oh my god.
That's like the legend.
Yeah.
So like I remember when the benchmark, I mean, it went like benchmark was Myst, and then it was like Crisis 3 was like
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
Can it
benchmark.
run Crisis?
Can it run? Or no, was it just Crisis or Crisis 3? I can never remember.
Either any of them.
Any of
They
them,
were
yeah.
Crisis 3 was
fantastic.
actually
Yeah.
on console, so I think it's just Crisis 1 was the one that
That's true.
everybody made the meme of.
Crisis, yeah.
I heard NASA's computers can't even run Crisis at full
Right.
graphics.
So crazy, man. But dude, that's badass. So like that's not something I would have figured you'd be playing right now. It's just point and click adventures.
I'm playing Harvester, and it's the weirdest game I've ever played. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's like a horror point and click adventure FMV style, and it's just so bizarre. Like,
Is it on
I don't know.
or PC?
Yeah, it's like an old, maybe even DOS. I can't remember how I'm launching it, but
Oh,
I
wow.
just-
Yeah, that's crazy looking.
I just think the FMV part is like the funniest part about it all.
yeah. There was like this like small window of time where they were making a bunch of FMV games, and that interests me for some reason. Same with the Titanic game. It's an FMV game, and it's weird too. I mean, the story is weird. Like it's just hard to keep up with. I actually have like a strategy guide with the Titanic game that I bought, and I've been following along, and it's been fun, man.
Like
It's,
an official like Prima guide?
yeah, it's like an official one. I bought that, and I bought the game, and it's just like this story drops you in this weird place, and like I don't know, it's unique. It's interesting to say the least, and you can like explore the whole ship. It's pretty cool. Like it's pretty neat to me. So I've been having fun
So
with those.
another to add to your list is just a crazy one is Mad Dog McCree. If you haven't seen
Okay,
that.
I played that on Sega CD. It's the FMV where the shooter game, right?
Yeah, it's like a live action game.
Yeah. That game's
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
For sure.
I've
I
seen
love
that one.
FMV style. Like
Ryan, well, in honor of John, we're gonna have to play some an FMV game here pretty soon.
Right?
I really so badly want to make like an FMV like RPG or something like that. You know, like because it's something you don't see. You know, like
That'd be pretty
I
cool.
don't know if that even exists. Like a live action RPG game, but like the sets and the characters, and it would just be so much. Like I would have to have like a hell of a budget, you know?
When you
Yeah.
need like a director sense of like cameras and stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the beauty of it is that you can kind of do like a low quality because of the nostalgia behind like the FMV style. You know, like not very high resolution stuff, so can kind of get away with cutting some corners here and there, but it's just like finding 10 actors who are willing to like do this crazy
Yeah.
story and do like a bunch of different movements and positions and all that stuff would be hard.
It's got to be way easier of a process now that we have like digital film. Like it must have been a whole different thing back then. Like
Well,
I don't even know how they would do that.
I know that like you're gonna have to like to make a character like walk across the screen. You have to like cut out each frame of that person walking, and and like put it
And
together
move
in
it
sequential
Flintstone
order.
style across
Yeah,
the
yeah.
static background.
Like I have the idea in my mind how to static background, how to do it, and it's just like finding people who would be willing to do that for like a low budget would be insane.
Dude, just
So-
go to your nearest college and find the theater.
Right, yeah,
So-
and then I have
That's
to
what
find
everyone
sets.
does.
But yeah, you
I'm
just take videos of people on a green screen.
I'm gonna give you an idea
All right.
after we record
Okay.
for something, so nobody hears it. Ryan,
Okay.
you'll see this in the chat.
I'm
so-
definitely interested for sure. I want to
Here.
do that one day. I really want to make like an FMV style like RPG or something like even an action RPG or something that you don't see today as much, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Ryan, look under you're currently playing, and let me know what you think about that before I tell John after the recording.
It would be a lot of fun for sure.
I just plugged it in a little bit ago. Did you see it?
Yeah, interesting. I want to hear that pitch.
That yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. We'll talk about it afterwards. It's a good
So
idea. It's a good idea.
so that's a future look at what you might want to do in the, one day. What are you working on now?
Right now I am working on like a few ports. We might have talked about this the last time I was on here, but yeah, like I like to take old games and port them onto other old systems that they weren't originally um, remade for. Recently, like we did Chips Challenge, and that was done for um, the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive, and it just wasn't originally released on that console, so or on those consoles. So I'm doing another series of a few of those where I take games and put them onto games that or consoles that they weren't intended to be put on, um, and publishing for the Game Boy Advance game that we had a Kickstarter for recently, Elend the Crystal Wars. So we're kind of in the process of like finishing up some development stuff for that. Me and a guy named Scott. He's like the lead developer on it, and we're just like because it was tied in with the Dune franchise, and we're just trying to remove all of that trademarked material and make it into an original game so that it can properly be released.
Just got to
Which
train
isn't
out some nouns.
that's really all that it is. It's not like it was kind of a side thing from Dune, so it's not really that hard to change things and make it an original game. It wasn't that I guess the fact that it's in the desert makes it pretty comparable, but at the same time, like the terminology and some of the story stuff in the game is pretty easy to swap and make it original. So we're working on doing that, and uh, I think that's really all I'm working on right now. I got some stuff, that I've been kind of working on in the background that it's gonna take me forever to finish, and I'm just not even close. But it seems like I always have like 100 projects open at once.
Yeah,
Have
sounds about
you
right for us too.
Yeah,
have you followed like the play date at all? Or you seen that?
I saw I saw the development software for it, and like it made me want to download it. But again, I was like, it's just another thing to add to the 1,000 things that I'm already
Yeah, you're a
doing.
busy
It
guy.
looks it looked super cool. It's tempting, for somebody like me, it's tempting to download and play with the engine and like build a little game or something like that. And I see people on Twitter
I think
building
it's all
stuff.
in
It's cool.
browser. I don't even think you need to download anything.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think you could just go into Chrome and just start, distracting yourself right away.
Yeah, it looks cool. Like it looks really cool, and I see people on Twitter building for it, and it looks like a lot of fun. Um, I haven't had a chance to play with it myself, but one day, hopefully. I really hope that that catches on and it becomes like a big thing.
It's like
That
one of the things I'm the most excited for, and I've always loved the idea of game design and like, watching people do stuff, talking to people about game design, coming up with your own
yeah
ideas and calling your friend like being like, "Oh my god, I can't write this down right now. I got to tell somebody."
yeah
But
yeah
like I'm so excited for this cuz I would love to be able to use this as an excuse to start,
dude
trying to do that myself.
yeah do it jump in do it. I mean, that's like the just try and jump in and do it. Like I think whenever like first started developing, like I was just dabbling, but once I made the goal of let me finish something, let me like just finish. It doesn't matter if it's like the shortest game ever. I just want
Quest
like
arrest.
a start, a middle, and an end, and like whenever I had that goal in mind, it actually happened. I actually finished something, and it's not a huge game or anything like that, but it's complete. So
Yeah. And
so
you just
it's
build up from there.
that's it. Like you just go in with the concept of I'm gonna finish something. Like it could be a 10-minute game, but it's gonna be a finished 10-minute game.
Mhm.
Um, that'll help you out for sure. And I think the Playdate would be an awesome place to start. Really simplistic graphics, and that interface looks really cool for development. Like it has everything built in right there. You don't really have to reach out very much for resources. So I think it's a great place to start development. Like like I said, I want to play with it. It looks cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Every day I'm checking Twitter. I'm like, come on, man! Like it's early 2022. That's what you said.
Let's go. Yeah, I've been seeing people develop for it on Twitter, so that's interesting to see. It's neat.
Nice. Yeah, when Ryan gets his hands on his copy, I'll definitely be playing around with it a little bit, see how it is.
I hope it catches on. I really do because it's a cool looking device.
Well, time will tell, man. All right, so I guess moving on here in the episode, we got a few different topics to cover. But first, you can find the Game Deflators on thegamedeflators.com. You can find us on social media at Game Deflators on Twitter and at The Game Deflators on Instagram and Facebook. And of course, all of your favorite podcast applications. The articles this week we're going to kind of cover are Microsoft confirming that Activision Blizzard will release games on PlayStation beyond the existing agreements. Nintendo thanks the feds for sending a hacker to prison for 3 years. That's going to be a fun one. And then the Nintendo Direct that just happened. So the biggest announcements, and we can kind of chat about like what are our top games that we saw that we want to play. So starting off, the first one here is an IGN article by Joe Screbbles. I like that name. And the entire thing is covering essentially how a statement has come out recently via Microsoft that these games are going to be published on PlayStation, even Nintendo, beyond the existing agreements that are in place as far as post acquisition, specifically Call of Duty and in a number of other games as well. Now, what it doesn't confirm though is like new releases, so new IPs that are out there, and not every single Blizzard Activision game that's historically been created is going to remain multi-platform either. But that being said, what do you guys think about this in terms of like, a win for Sony or a win for Nintendo? I mean, I think it's a huge win for both of those organizations, in that Call of Duty being as big of a seller as it is, and maybe Diablo, who knows? I mean, that could be one of the games they're talking about that'll be beyond existing agreements. Seeing those titles continue to be multi-platform, I think it's a huge win both for Microsoft and those organizations. Microsoft, the revenue that's coming from that, being able to sell on other consoles, and then of course those consoles being able to, of course, continue that third party, relationship.
Yeah, for the companies, it's definitely a good thing, and for the gamers, it's a good thing because we get our hands on these games that might not have been released for the console that we own. So that's always a cool thing to see. Um,
Yeah. I think it's
a win.
definitely a big PR move here. Like he's saying that Post also announces changes to commitments for Microsoft Store in line with showing regulators that the company is encouraging rather than stifling competition in the gaming and tech space. I mean, people have been so, oh, monopoly, like, oh, this is like going to be this huge thing and it's going to have all these ramifications, and it no doubt will, but it's definitely in Microsoft's favor to try to get ahead of that curve and try to like be like, no, we're not looking to shut anything down right away. Like, we don't want to make this a big deal. It's just the
Yeah.
largest money transaction ever. Don't worry about it.
It's one of those things where a company like Microsoft not only can afford it, but they're going to profit from it too. So it's a win for them. They get the PR from it, and at the same time they're going to definitely make money and look good doing it.
Well, I brought up several times in the past that like I could see this being the last Xbox console released, the Series X and Series S.
Oh, you
And
think so?
I think so. And then moving away from hardware and diving 100% into the software component through Game Pass. And as they acquire more and more of these companies, then they'll say, hey, you want this? We're going to offer you Game Pass. You're going to pay us whatever amount, on a monthly or annual basis, Sony, Nintendo, any other company that jumps in. We're jumping completely out of hardware business. So you don't have to worry about us there, but you want all these other games that we've accumulated over the last, 5 years or maybe a decade. Here it is on Game Pass. Have at it.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah, if
clever.
Microsoft doesn't sell an Xbox, then there's really no reason for Sony and Nintendo to try to push out, just a service catalog of content to be available on their platform.
Well, and the thing is where are you going to get those games? And Microsoft could very easily say, okay, well, it's going to be on PC, it's going to be on cell phones, it's going to be on TVs, it's going to be on, every other thing that you could buy out there. So if you want in on that action, if you want people to play Call of Duty moving forward on Game Pass, you want access to it, you're going to have to add it to your console.
Right.
I could see that being a legit thing
Well,
moving forward for them.
And if Microsoft gets out of the console game, then Nintendo's always going to do that because that's just the only thing that they are. But I don't think it really behooves, you know, Sony to be making consoles at a loss and worrying when they don't really have any actual competition in the space from like a Microsoft.
Yeah. And then Sony will just be like, fine, keep your Call of Duty. We'll make our own with blackjack and hookers.
Right.
Like Futurama reference, which kind of sucks. The whole reboot.
Futurama's back.
Futurama's coming back. You saw that?
Yeah,
Of
except
course.
John
Except for
DiMaggio.
Bender, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, come on, really. Okay. Well, I don't know if we have much else to talk about on that one. I mean, we'll see how this whole, acquisition plays out over time. I'm really excited to see if like my thoughts play out in the long run with this being
Yeah, it'd
like
be
the last
interesting to
console.
see if Xbox bails.
Yeah,
with the
I think it's
console
possible,
industry.
man. Like we read a while back. I mean, they sell these consoles at a loss.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're putting in the hands of gamers, but at the end of the day, you're making probably more money off of the software and everything and all the accessories than you are on the hardware. So like the actual
Right.
console. So what if your whole thing is you're selling Xbox controllers for PC and other devices, which you're making money on, hopefully, on the controllers, and then you're also selling this software out there, which is little to nothing at the end of the day for them.
Right.
I think it's a very legitimate chance that they get out of a hardware game.
That's interesting.
The last interesting thing I have from this article is just that I thought it was crazy. They've already got like the next 3 Call of Duty games like contracted out for this. Like,
Wow.
I know that they have like the 2 studios, right? And they bounce back and forth every other year. So it's like one year you've got one studio's game, and then the next year you've got like the Black Ops team making their game or whatever. So it's like they got like a 2-year dev cycle on each one, but like the next 3 Call of Duty games, that's like the next like 3 or 4 years all planned out already. And like with the decline that we've seen, like for like the most recent Battlefield, and I don't know really, like Call of Duty always sells super good, but like
Right.
didn't they have like they didn't meet their blowing last year's numbers out of the water numbers this last year or something? I don't know. They need to slow this down. I'm hoping that once Microsoft gets in there and gets a handle on everything, they can say, okay, all you people that were bought out to come and support Call of Duty, go back, work on some Tony Hawks, make some other cool stuff, and we're going to start doing Call of Duty once every few years instead of once every year into the garbage heap.
Well,
yeah, it's become like a sports title, where they just kind of like put it out every year and it's the same thing kind of remolded.
Yeah. And like at the end of the day, there's so many updates you can do on an annual basis, or even do some like they have, what is it, Warzone? So it's kind of like an Apex Legends style where it's just you have continual updates. They could very easily just continue that and just be like, that's our Call of Duty moving forward. And then we're going to like, hey, it's 6 months in, or it's this new season. This new season is World at War, and everything
a lot
is
of games are
themed
that
to be
way.
Yeah.
It seems like that's the future of like
Yeah,
that kind of battle royale style, maybe like.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't even have to be. It could still be like death matches and stuff. Like they could have death match modes,
Right.
available for this like free to play or team death match or capture flag, whatever they want to do. But
The idea of seasonal changes and
yeah,
updates.
like seasonal changes is Black Ops, or this we're doing Civil War this year, or this season we're going to do World at War, and then like just kind of continue it on through these different seasons. They'll have different themes that are tied to it with different weapons and other things that you might not have had before, like different opposing forces. So you might do World War II, and it might be like you have the ability to play like an access and power or whatever for each season. You might only have one available for each. There's different things I think they can do with that. But they've gotten so greedy and like, let's put out this game and sell millions of copies, and then just like 6 months later announce the next one that's coming out and sell millions of copies of that. I get it. I mean, they're making money, but still, it's a terrible game.
Yeah, it's working for them, but I don't play Call of Duty, so I don't really know.
Yeah. Well, our next article that we got here is Kotaku, and it's Ian Walker. And so the title of this one's always great. Nintendo thanks feds for sending hacker to prison. So there's a little subheader here that says, the house that Mario built continues to show zero mercy towards folks who facilitate piracy. So Gary Bowser, no, that's not a misprint, is the name of a guy who was handed a 40-month prison sentence by the U.S. District Court of Western District of Washington for creating and selling console hacking software and devices to be used to play piracy or pirated Nintendo Switch games. And
Interesting.
so, I'll read the actual note here from Nintendo, and then we can kind of talk about it. But it says Nintendo appreciates the hard work and tireless efforts of federal prosecutors and law enforcement agencies to curb illegal activities on a global scale that causes serious harm to Nintendo and the video game industry. In particular, Nintendo would like to thank the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Homeland Security Investigations of the Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Washington, the U.S. Department of Justice's Computer Crime and Intellectual Property Section, and the Justice Department's Office of International Affairs for the significant contribution and assistance. So that's a lot. But yeah, this dude was, selling software and hardware to hack consoles, and Nintendo's like, ban Hammer. We're going to ban you from the world for 40 months, and also
Yeah,
you owe us $10 million.
that's pretty wild to me. Like, he wasn't even really selling like pirated goods. He was just selling the tools to pirate goods.
It was just the
You
mod
know?
chips.
Yeah, it's like the owners of the Pirate Bay or something. It's like we're just giving you the availability to download it illegally. We're not doing anything like
Yeah, we're not
illegal
hosting those
ourselves.
files. Those are other
Right,
people's files.
right.
I think they should have titled this article "Feds Thanks for Sending Bowser to Prison." That would have been a way catchier.
Fed send Bowser to prison. Yeah,
Yeah.
that, you know what?
And
I
it's
agree.
accurate.
Yeah, I agree on that one. So one of the reasons I think this was so like such a big hammer down on this guy was, you read a little bit later in on this article, and his defense was that he was the least culpable of the three arrested members of Team Executor, actually, is the name of their team.
Hmm,
And that this is only being used to send a message, and specifically because the other two defendants were in other countries that may not be extradited.
hmm. And they were
So,
selling this stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
through a website.
I see.
It was Team
No, they were selling.
Executor.
They were selling it through back alleys.
Yeah. Hey kids, you want some ROMs?
That's how it used to be, man. Hand somebody a
Yeah,
thumb drive, and that's what it was on.
yeah. Back in the day,
Yeah, thumb drives.
that's interesting, though. Yeah,
So is
that's
3 years of your life too much for that? Like, I get the punitive damages, but like, is going to prison for that? Like, is that too much?
Well, it's a white collar crime, so like, who knows where we're gonna put him? And then on top of that, like, who knows how many millions of dollars he has in like offshore bank accounts right now that when he gets out in 3 years, he's set for the rest of his life. Like, that could be one of those situations where you're like, I'll be in prison for 3 years, but I'll have millions of dollars the rest of my life in some other country.
it seems a little unfair to me to go to prison for that kind of thing, but I don't know. Like I guess he caused them a lot of financial loss. Of course.
Well, they said
Uh,
it was only $65 million
only.
is in their estimate. Well, I mean, if you consider Nintendo's a
Oh
multi-billion
yeah,
dollar
yeah.
company,
Right.
65 million is a drop in the bucket, and that's estimating as well. That's not even like 100% guaranteed. This is what we lost.
It's like an age-old debate, with the piracy thing. Like some people stand on the side of it actually helping gaming. Some people stand on the side that it hurts gaming. And it's just one of those things where people have their own opinions on it. I don't think the guy should have gone to prison. That's a little hardcore. Like, I think that's kind of set for maybe like a high, like I don't know. I think of violent crime when I think of prison. I think of
Yeah.
like people
He's
who
not a
hurt.
threat to society. He's not going to all of a
Right.
sudden break into your house and install a mod chip in your Wii.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he did, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, even if he did that, I think it might be a little bit more of a prison kind of thing if he broke into your house and like beat up your mom or something. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
like some
Beat
sort
up
of
your
violent
mom and then like,
crime.
give me his Wii.
Yeah, yeah. I
Give
don't
me his
know, like
Nintendo.
prison. Every time I think of prison, I don't think of like, oh, this guy was like hacking Nintendos. It's like,
Hey
uh,
man, and honestly, man, you go to prison for 3 years and people will be like, how'd you do it? Like, what'd you do?
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah. What are
hacked
you in
Nintendo
for?
consoles. They'd be like, you know
Yeah,
what? I'll
yeah,
I'll let it slide here, but you gotta hook my my son up or whatever, or
Right?
my daughter up with a new Nintendo hacked mod.
And it
Like,
says
imagine
here
the
Nintendo
circle with
wanted
this.
5 years.
Yeah, they wanted 5 years on it. I just read that too.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah,
Don't
that's interesting.
don't do this in Japan because I'm sure they'll get that 5 years.
I'm
No,
I'm
Nintendo would be like 20 years in Japan.
I'm positive that this kind of thing probably doesn't happen often. That this is somebody who's made an example of, but
Yeah,
it's quite an example to be made for sure.
for sure, man. Well, hey, if the guy's got millions of dollars set aside somewhere else and he has access to it afterwards, it might be worth it for him. I mean,
Sure, yeah,
you know. But yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a little harsh on the 5 years. There's people that get in prison for less time for more heinous crimes. So the
for
fact that
sure.
like a white collar crime like this, I mean, at the end of the day, like
It wasn't like he was directly stealing either. He was just creating the software so you could steal.
that's true. But I think part of it too is the fact that it went up to like that federal level in a sense, through
Yeah,
that district court. So versus like federal crimes are always, I think they carry a heavier weight, if I'm correct. So like if you did credit cards, for example, and you were like making
yeah,
fake credit cards, or if you were forging currency and whatnot, you're going to get a
right,
pretty nasty prison sentence tied to that, despite the fact that it's not really, you know uh it's obviously illegal, but it's not like a nasty crime where you like murdered somebody.
right.
You're still gonna get like a nasty sentence tied to it. I think, God, when I was growing up, we knew somebody that uh I mean, I was a kid at the time, so we were like, where'd this guy go? And it turned out that he was making fake credit cards, and he got put
Oh,
in prison for like 15 years.
whoa.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like millions of dollars. I mean, the guy probably, as far as we knew, I think it's probably in like the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he got put in prison for 15 years for it. And it was just
To
like a
me,
side thing in his house type of deal.
making credit cards sounds worse than making software to hack Nintendo consoles. To
It
me,
Yeah.
does, right?
that sounds like bad. It's but like hacking Nintendo consoles to me just sounds like
But like the financial aspect
I don't
of
know.
it is
We
like,
all have
selling it.
played Mother, and none of us own it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so it's like foreign to think about the idea of going to prison for something like that. But he was
yeah.
obviously like selling millions of dollars worth. You said $65 million.
Well, that's what they estimated as far as like the losses that they incurred, which could honestly be as simple as like, you know, he made $2 million or made $1 million off of this, but
Right.
they're estimating however many mods and hacks and everything went out into market, all of those
Right.
people had X amount of titles and other things they got for free, technically,
So
or stolen.
they could
And
have
that's
sold
what
100 chips to
100
1,000
people.
people or whatever.
How would
and
you
that
sell
could have
100
done all
chips
this.
to 1,000 people?
I don't know. Because
The
they're
math doesn't even add.
distributors or something.
But it's 100 chips. How do you sell it to 1,000 people?
No,
Just cut
like
'em in
each.
half.
Like if they were making the chips and then distributing them to other
Okay.
websites to like, then it might have really gotten out. But if it was just them on their website, like how many chips could they really have made? Like how many could they have sent out to people?
Yeah, I
Like,
can see that.
Who
Who
it couldn't
knows?
have been like tens of thousands. I can't
It's
imagine.
like a garage operation.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Microsoft all over again, just with
Yeah.
mods and chips. That's what they
I
should have
mean,
done as their defense.
there's a lot of companies who build things to like do this stuff, but usually like the people who build them are like anonymous, and then they don't sell it; they just give it away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Probably a terrible plug, but kind of like the retro room where you can play free titles that have been developed by John.
yeah, there it is. Don't send me to prison, please.
Yeah.
Go check out Quest Arrest.
For sure. Yeah, you
Send
can play
other
it for-
people to prison.
Yeah, there you go.
John's gonna bring out a band hammer. Like, he played my Quest Arrest for free. I need $1 million.
I've actually there's eBay sellers who sell reproduction copies of it, so it happens.
Oh, dude, there you go, man.
I've seen it.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. Send them to prison.
Send them to jail.
Oh man. So does that bug you at all? Like knowing that people are taking like your game and like this free title and making a reproduction, or
I think what bugs me is like maybe it might not be of quality because I've updated it like several times, and who knows what version it's going to be, and who knows what the people are getting, and then this other company's going to get paid for giving them like trash, and then it's going to rub my name in the dirt. So
Yeah.
that would be the only problem I have with it. it's silly to me because you can I give away most of my, like, if I develop a game, I'm gonna give it away for free, like in ROM form. So you can just like download the ROM for free or play it on like Google Quest Arrest. You can play it for free, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for somebody to be like profiting off of it's interesting to me.
The quality
It's
of the
obviously
release you put together was really good. I've seen
Yeah.
John's.
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, yeah. It's you know, it's one of those things where like I want to cater to like physical collectors and people who like to play on physical hardware, and so you know, it's important to have like a quality release there. But you can get, you know, you can get the ROM, you know, for free, and so it's interesting to see like companies trying to pirate it. You know, what's also interesting is like I don't make a whole lot of money, so I can't imagine that they do either. You know,
Right.
like they're making a fraction of what I do, and I'm telling you, I'm not rich, so by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't. It doesn't really make that much sense to me. Like if you're gonna pirate something, like sell Pokemon games, like they're
Yeah.
gonna sell better for sure. They're gonna sell better than Quest Arrest. Like so, I
They
don't
don't
know.
even know what customer says. Just like, this looks interesting. Well, it
I
looks
you know it's
yeah.
weird. You know, like to me it's bizarre. So you know, if you're gonna like like try to make money off of like pirated goods, at least sell something that people are gonna recognize. You know, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they recognize the Pokemon style, right? The
I guess
battling.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be it. They think it's a Pokemon game.
I can't imagine they're selling a whole lot of copies, you know? Like I mean I do okay, but it's not like this crazy like you know, I'm rolling in the dough or anything like that, you know. So
Yeah.
I get by, but it's like you know, it's not like I have a mansion or like, you know,
Yeah.
like a nice car or anything like that, you know. So I
But he
can't
does have a
imagine,
secret underground lair he told me about
right?
off camera.
It's where I hide my expensive cars and I just drive this Honda Civic like for fun.
It's just for show.
Yeah, it's so you know,
Dealing copies of Quest for Rest out of the back of his trunk.
right. Actually, I'm the one who's selling the pirated copies,
He's making the money on the side from himself.
like a double business.
I'm
But
gonna
yeah,
steal my own free game.
it's weird to me. It's odd to see. You know, I don't really like pursue it other than sometimes I'll call it out and be like, look at this person doing this. Like it sucks that they steal from somebody who's poor. But yeah, to me it's just confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally understandable, man. Well, jumping out of pirated copies of Quest for Rest out of John's Honda Civic is the Nintendo Direct that just happened back on the 9th. So we're recording on the 13th, so it's a few days after. But there were some big announcements on there. And we have an article here that's Owen Good of Polygon, but we don't necessarily need to jump into, you know, anything that he's stated. A lot of crazy games were released, or not released, but announced. Specifically, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was announced, which was pretty cool. I want to get my hands on like the DLC for number 2 before I even start, but I just don't want to pay that type of money right now. But I don't know, you know, watching it, what you guys were most interested in, but I'll kind of dive into my list here really quick, and then we'll probably have some crossover. So I think it's Live Alive or Live Alive. I can't remember. But I saw that one, RPG title on the console. Chrono Cross Remastered. I love Chrono Cross. It's my favorite game ever. So seeing
Very
that
cool.
remastered is going to be
Yeah.
fantastic. And now I can force my wife to play it because she's never played Chrono Cross. Kirby. So the new Kirby, it's coming out. Looked pretty
I
cool.
love the memes. The memes
Yep.
have been funny.
Oh my god, I've seen some
Yeah.
really nasty memes too, especially with like the stretching component. So Mario Strikers. So seeing that come out along with like the online gameplay in the clubs, that's pretty badass. That's going to be coming out. The Klonoa remastered or Klonoa
That was
re-release.
neat to see. Yeah.
Yeah, those games are expensive. So the fact that they're releasing
Yeah.
1 and 2 together, and those are the 2 highest price.
I feel like that was kind of like a under the radar title too. It wasn't very like widely popular, and
it's a
a cool
great
game.
it's a great game. So
Yeah.
like I'm happy to see it being re-released, and the fact that those games are so expensive right now, it's going to be coming out at an affordable price point that those of us that couldn't get our hands on it to begin with can't.
Right.
Like I don't own Klonoa 1, but I own Klonoa 2, and that's like a $90 game, I think.
I had one for
Crazy.
GBA. I think that's the only one that I ever played. I never really heard people talk about it too much, but like through the
It's kind of
years, you'll see
obscure.
like Klonoa reference, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah, like everybody knows about
Yeah,
Klonoa, but
it's
nobody like played it apparently.
it's seemingly like an obscure kind of title for them to do this with, and that's kind of cool to me.
It's kind
They
of
brought
like
out a lot of obscure stuff in this. I was
it,
not expecting the
Yeah.
Front Mission remake. That looks
Oh,
awesome.
that
yeah.
was interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that took me by surprise. So I going into this Nintendo Direct, like I knew like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was mentioned, I knew Kirby was mentioned, and I knew Klonoa and Chrono Cross. Like I knew those were coming out and Mario Strikers, but like I didn't realize they were gonna have more stuff on Triangle Strategy, which is also on my list as a title here. But I didn't see Front Mission getting any sort of love initially. So it was really interesting to see some of those other titles getting that love, and rightfully so. Front Mission is, I think, a PS1 game
Yeah.
originally. Yeah, that one in particular. And then I think they went up to Front Mission 4, I want to say.
They were making them for the PS2. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was Front Mission 4. Let me see. I'm just going to double check on this one so that
No
way
Man's Sky coming to Switch. That'll be
Oh
an
yeah, that's
interesting.
yeah.
ambitious.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And
The
Portal, I can't believe Portal isn't already on Switch. That's like perfect. I haven't played Portal in so long, but I would love to be able to have that like wherever.
I found the Disney Racing to actually be pretty interesting.
Disney Racing, huh?
Yeah, they had the Disney Racing is going to be like, oh yeah, it was Front Mission 3 was on the PlayStation. I don't know if Front Mission 1 was on there.
Disney Racing, huh? I think more interesting than that is the fact that we're not going to get a Mario Kart 9 forever because they're releasing like
Oh yeah, the
50 more
DLC,
tracks for Mario Kart 8.
which is pretty cool, I guess.
I mean, $25 and you can. I mean, Nintendo. I want to say there was something that came out the other day that they were like, this console is going to continue for another, like, we're only in the mid part of its life cycle, right? So like, if you consider that they're going to put this console out for another 3-4 years potentially, they're not going to release another Mario Kart on the
Right.
console. So that being said, the only thing that does make sense is release 48 new tracks and do what they basically do with Super Smash Bros, which is put every single damn thing that they could on that particular game. And so they're
Milk
doing
it.
it. What's that?
Milk it.
Yeah, they're milking the hell out of it. But $25. I mean, if you really consider it, $25 for 48 tracks is
It's
the
almost like
equivalent
50
of
cents
getting,
a track or something like that.
and it's like a new Mario Kart game basically, because I mean 48 tracks is essentially a new game. So would you rather pay $60 for a brand new Mario Kart game with all of those tracks and a bunch of new ones potentially, or just pay $25 for 48 tracks over the next like year and a half? Like, and they're
Right.
supporting it till 2023, so that's a good thing too to see that as a
Yeah.
player. So I just
Yeah, that's
really
cool.
I really wish they would release like a deluxe edition that includes all of them in one thing down the road.
It
That'll
already
piss off.
is deluxe. Like,
No,
what
no.
would they Super Deluxe Plus?
Super deluxe. I mean, dude, it's super. I mean, they have that in their thing. So yeah, Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe Edition with all 48 of those tracks and all the other tracks for $60. Although that would piss off so many gamers that paid $25 for it,
Right.
only to
Well,
find
who's
out that there's
paying
like
that?
this.
Aren't
I don't-
people just gonna get the expansion pass? Like this is a good
Because it's
reason
free,
for the
right?
expansion
I don't.
pass.
I don't own it.
Well, this sells me on the expansion pass more than the Animal Crossing DLC did. And this is like one of the best sold games on the console. Like, if you weren't sold on the N64 and Genesis editions alone, I think that this is going to turn people to the expansion pass.
48 tracks is a lot of tracks. That's
That's a
quite
lot
a
of
bit of
time.
business.
That's a
to
whole
do.
game's
Yeah,
worth,
yeah,
at least.
yeah, for sure. How many tracks are originally in the game?
I don't know, a lot.
I'll look it
There's
up.
a lot, but 48 more.
I mean, if you consider even like Super Mario Kart had a crap ton of tracks in it too.
It's insane.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to pick up the game at some point. I wish I would do some sort of super deluxe
32
deeper
in the
edition.
base game, 16 through DLC. So there's
it's
already 48 tracks. So this is going to double it.
It's a whole nother game.
It's going to be almost
Yeah.
100 courses, 96 total.
Wild.
Yeah. So what did John? What did you think about the Nintendo Direct? Did you have a chance to catch it, or anything in particular caught your eye?
I like saw all the news about it going down the feed, and it was like hard to miss. I didn't watch it myself, because I'm like old, like behind the times. I like intentionally stay behind. A couple generations behind because the games are usually cheaper, and
Yeah.
I shop at my local Goodwill, my local thrift shop, and yeah, I just got Crazy Taxi for the PS2 the other day, Pretty
Nice.
excited about that.
You like that one?
So it's hard for me to like get excited about these kinds of things. I've like trained my brain to like not be like that consumer whenever it comes to like video games. I'll probably like get a Switch down the line, and I don't even have a Switch yet. I don't even own one.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah. So I have a PS4, so I'm not like completely behind, you know. But I don't own a Switch yet, and I think the one thing that's gonna push me to buy one soon is that I want to develop games for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as far as that goes, like Xenoblade Chronicles, I played the first one, and I haven't even played the second one yet. So, but it's exciting to see like the longevity of like my gaming. You know, it's like of course I want to play these games, and you know I feel like I have so many games from past generations to catch up on. Like my backlog's insane, but it just adds more longevity to like my gaming life. You know, I know that I'm gonna eventually pick up these titles and play them. By the time that I do, they're definitely gonna be like dust in the wind, you know, to a majority of society. But you know, whenever I see like these kinds of things, it makes me excited to see because I know like one day I'm gonna play it for sure.
That's such a different hype cycle than the rest of us. You're like, man, I'm gonna be playing that Kirby game in 20 years. It's gonna be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's funny because like I'll play games that are like old to everybody else, and they're new to me. Like I just like a couple months ago started on Red Dead Redemption 2, and
Mm.
it's wild. It's like almost too much. It's like it's huge, you know. And I started playing Near Automata,
Nice.
which is
I
really
want to play
cool.
that one day.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I was really surprised. I went in blind. I just kind of saw like a headline about it or something, and I ended up buying it, and like I was really impressed with it. It was like a interesting mix of genres, you know. But it's like you know they've come out with a second one now, and I you know I'm just now getting around to the first one. For some reason, I just don't I don't really buy into the hype of things, you know, and I think that helps me not like have like a whole basement full of games, you know. I don't know. It's just it's kind of how I've been doing it for the last few years.
It's good
Staying a
restraint.
few, staying behind the times. Yeah, yeah. It is showing restraint, you know. But it's nice to be able to like to go in and bargain bin, you know, buy games and like I'll buy 5 or 6 PS4 games at a time, and it's like the hit games that everybody played years ago, and I'm like kid in a candy shop, and I spent
Yeah.
$25, you know.
Oh, dude. Near Automata, your edition, the Game of the Year version, $17 on GameStop right now.
And it's worth it. It's really good.
Yeah.
I was surprised because it's like a shmup meets like RPG kind of like thing, and the story was interesting. Like it's
Did you only play through the once?
yeah.
Because you know, like to play that game, you got to play it through and get. There's like 4 different endings.
Oh, nice. Okay,
It's like so
I'm in
deep.
the middle of it right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, it's really cool. Like the story so far is engaging and like it's cool. Like I'm having a blast with it. And for most people, it's already done. You know, done and said. But for me,
Well,
it's new for me.
that's
For
why
me,
we
it's
do the
not.
new games resolution every year, because it's like John's never played. I mean, neither of us have ever played through Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and it's like, you know, it's so hard to be able to keep up. So once a year, we try to make sure that we've got like, hey, what's something that you missed? What's, you know, that blind spot that you want to go back and fill?
And those games are good. You're gonna have fun. You know, if you like Zelda games, and you're gonna have fun playing them. They're really fun. They're good. They're like classics or like amazing. You know, considered amazing games. People's favorite games for a reason. So.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So I'm seeing where I can have this picked up, you guys.
Are
I've
you
been
ordering
known.
Near Automata now?
I have been known to purchase games on the fly
Dude,
while we're recording, and
you'll enjoy it if you pick it up. I think so.
And then I can
yeah,
borrow it later.
It's unique. It's really unique, and I was caught off guard by it.
Yeah, I'll have to check. So like I can get it off of GameStop right now for like $17.
which is cheap.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, which
I
isn't
feel
bad
like
at
I paid
all.
$20 for it or something like that. It was
But the only issue is it's like $6 shipping. So I'm like, well, let's see what Amazon Prime is at right now.
They've got
right.
I think they're doing a remake of the first Nier. That's gonna be.
That was Replicant, I think.
Oh, is that what that
I never
was?
played the old ones. Yeah, I was. It makes me curious about them because you like play as a different like character and it's like
Yeah,
a
I have it
different.
on PS3. I've got a couple copies that I picked up years ago.
Is it
So
worth it?
yeah, dude. I never got to beat it, and it's not because I didn't want to beat it. It's because when I was in the middle of playing it, my PS3 died. Like I
Oh,
got yellow lighted on that. So that's the only
damn.
reason I stopped playing it years ago. But I knew somebody that was computer tech, and they took all of my save data off. Like they redid my PS3, like they reflowed it, had it on for a few hours so I could transfer all of my save data onto a thumb drive.
Oh,
And so
perfect.
I have all of my old PS3 data, as well as PS2 data. So I could put it into my PS3 Slim that I have the top loader one, and I can continue playing that at some point down the road. I just haven't yet.
One
Uh,
day.
but yeah,
One
dude,
day.
that game was phenomenal. Like I absolutely love that game. So good.
Okay, I'll have to
So
try it
yeah,
then
you'll have
for
to try to
sure.
pick
They've got
near.
they've got an interesting difference. That's like the only thing I know is like in the Japanese one, your like main character is like young anime protagonist dude, and then in the Western release, they made him more like an older
Yeah.
dude.
Hmm.
Like they changed his character model and stuff about his character because it was like they just wanted like a fatherly approach as opposed to like a brotherly approach.
Well, dude, it worked. It was really good what I played. I mean, that's one game that I regret not beating.
All right. So it's
So
one I'm gonna have to try then for sure.
yeah, you'll have to
It's
give
high
that one a
praise.
shot. Yeah, God, man, that might be a game that I play after the Zelda games.
When I was
Like,
playing near Automata, like I like knew that they had some of the or older games, and it piqued my interest to want to try them out.
yeah,
I'm curious how they're even gonna tie to that game because that game's wild.
yeah, it's good stuff. I've heard good things about Automata. Replicant, I do want to pick it up, just pick it up.
It
And then,
looks sick,
of
yeah.
course, the first Nier is fantastic. Ryan, did you have anything in particular that you want to chat about Nintendo Direct before we kick this one off, or
I
we'll
thought
close
this
out the
was a
episode?
really good Nintendo Direct. I was really excited by most of what I saw. There wasn't like a lot of dead things. I mean, even the weird, hey, we're going to show you how to play volleyball. They're so like corporate and stiff, but they have fun with it. So it's like, that was a long interlude, but it's still always entertaining. They always keep these Nintendo Directs moving pretty well.
They're
Um,
releasing like an official Earthbound or something, right?
So that's just Earthbound. It's Mother 1 and 2, or Earthbound and Mother, coming out for the SNES and NES streaming thing that they have if you've got the Nintendo Online. So it's not like a physical release or anything, and it doesn't have Mother 3, so that sucks.
Hmm.
The Metroid Dread update, to get some new content out for that, even though it's just like a super easy mode and a super hard mode. I think that's cool.
Heard good things about Dread too. I never played it, so
The Fire Emblem opening, I've only played a couple Fire Emblem games. I was excited to see a new Fire Emblem game because I was like, oh, maybe I'll play this next one. But then to see that it was going to be a Warriors game, I didn't think that these Warriors games really had like that many people that were into them. But I mean, this is going to be the second Fire Emblem Warriors. They've done 2 Zelda Warriors. Like, I guess people really dig this series, so it's cool to see them getting that, and it's going to be like directly tied in with the last game, the 3 houses, so that's fun for those people. um I don't know, I'm not excited for Xenoblade because I didn't really like the second one. I'm not a Splatoon person, but the Salmon Run trailer looked fun. Like, it looked like it's got a lot of content for people that are into that.
And order placed.
yeah. All right. You're gonna have to tell me how it rolls for you.
Yeah,
For
I'll have to,
sure.
man.
I'm
Yeah, so
curious. Yeah.
dude, a
I
lot
was
of
I
these.
was super impressed. So it's just
Yeah, a lot of these shops actually have it right now. Ryan, if you want to pick it up, it's $17, and like all the GameStops in the area apparently have it for $17 new.
I'll just borrow
right
yours,
now.
John. I don't need to
Fine.
buy games.
But it's got
You
DLC
buy
on it.
games.
That's true. I do.
It's definitely an interesting game. So it's curious what you guys think.
Yeah, I'll let you know whenever I get to it. It might be 10 years from now, but I'll let you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you get stuck in that water temple all year.
Oh God, don't remind, dude. We have the internet nowadays compared to back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
So I'm in good shape.
Right?
So no worries there. All right, man. Well, yeah, I agree. Great Nintendo Direct. So it was a lot of fun to watch. When I watched it this morning, actually, right after I got out of bed. So my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nintendo Direct."
All
So
right,
that worked
sick.
out. No inflation deflation this week, but you should totally go pick up Quest for Rest and all of John's amazing titles that he has on the Retro Room.
Thank
And
you.
if you want to give the people one more opportunity to hear where you're at,
You can find me at the retroroomgames.com. I'm pretty sure my social media is there. But if not, then just search the Retro Room or the Retro Room Roo. And you can find me like on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those fun places, TikTok, YouTube, all the
all the internets.
all the internets, yeah, all the
All of
places.
them internets.
And then, of course, you can find us on thegamedeflators.com, all of those great social media platforms at the Game Deflators and at Game Deflators. And of course, you can find us on the podcast app you're listening to now or some other podcast app that you didn't know about. And we haven't said this in a while, but leave us a 6-star review because 5 is not enough
Yay.
stars. Yeah, we need lots of reviews. All right. Well, that being said, we've been joined by John Roo of the Retro Room Games.
Again, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was great having you on. We'll have you on again, obviously. It's a
I would
ton
love
of fun
it.
to chat.
Yeah,
Love
please.
chatting games if you do.
Same.
My name's John,
I'm Ryan.
and thanks for listening.